Welcome to MagicGatheringStrat. I am Dan and I'm about to think about Modern Masters Limited. I normally do this before every new set that I'm interested in, but now I figure I should do it on YouTube and on Twitch. This is streaming on Twitch because I wanted some comments, and I'll post it to YouTube too, and it'll be an article on MagicGatheringStrat. This is part 2. So there is a part 1 you can find on the YouTube channel at MagicGatheringStrat here. You can also find it on MagicGatheringStrat.com, which is my website. Thinking about Modern Masters Limited Part 1. This is Part 2. There has been new cards spoiled. For my spoilers, I use mythicspoiler.com just because it looks awesome. So this is what we're going to look at. I have already reviewed some of the cards, and this is not a pure review. This is me thinking about the cards, and I am just thinking publicly. So please join in. Pop out the chat. No, I managed to pop out the channel instead. But I wanted to pop out the chat. How do I do that? Stupid Twitch. Hi chat, clear chat, slow mode, confused. Yes, I am confused. Trying to get the Twitch chat where I want it. Is that it? No, that wasn't it. Pop out. So, there's the Twitch chat. Let's have that there. You can still see it. Great. Whoa, no spoilers. No. The Ravager was already spoiled, wasn't it? Ha! Mirror Enforcer. That's great. Okay. Let's figure out a way to do this graphically pleasing. I do have a pretty big screen. But you can't see all of it. God damn it. Let's see if we can make it bigger. Maybe that is too big for Twitch. Well, looks like it's working. Okay, how do I tell from which expansion one of the cards are from? Countryside Crusher. At the beginning up, you reveal the top card of the library. If it's a land card, put it into the graveyard, repeat this process. And he will grow and become enormous. So that looks pretty useful. But we need to try to Google some old limited reviews of this guy. So first we need to find out where he's from. He's from Morningtide. Yep. So Morningtide draft strategy. Card reviews. Maybe. Morningtide review red. This looks exactly like the thing I want. And here is. He's a house and extendable, he play in legacy, blah, blah, blah. In limited, be careful about running him out too early. 4 stars in limited. Who is this guy? Because I want to credit him. Saim Beg says. That 4 out of 5 sounds like a first pick. He is just a durdle in that he doesn't have any abilities, but he is going to do a lot of damage. I hear Marshall Sutcliffe screaming B+ in my ear. He isn't growing very fast, is he? But it's a 3-3 for 3. He is a first pick. He is absolute first pick. But I don't think he is a super bomb. But I don't do the limited resources review picks because I only care about draft and I want to know where to pick it. So I'm signing it up as a first to third pick. That means that there are other cards that you would pick over it, but not too many. Arcbound Ravager was already spoiled and I have already reviewed it in the first part. Wasn't it? Yes. So what about Mirror Enforcer? What about Mirror Enforcer? Luckily, I was playing during Mirrodin, so I have a pretty good grasp on that. What was it was headline 2. The strange language in my Word document here, in my Word program is Swedish, because I'm Swedish. So now we have to look at the Mirrodin review that I completed 10 years ago. And little did I think I would have use for it today, but here it is. So what about Mirror Enforcer? We do assume that we can get artifact decks, but you can't get artifact deck like you did in Mirrodin, where every deck was an artifact deck. Every other card is talking about Mirror Enforcer. There is. But he should be a lot worse in a non-artifact set, shouldn't he? The biggest question here is if you can get the artifact deck. Can you? And he's not very impressive otherwise. I'd list him as a 5th to 7th pick preliminary, though I am not sure at all. That's very enlightening, isn't it? Okay. Anybody watching? Yes. Hi guys. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in Modern Masters Limited. And feel free to join me. I'm going through the most recent spoilers here. Ethereum Sculptor. That's a Scars of Mirrodin block card, right? Artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Sounds very specific. Sounds like something that doesn't really work in Limited. I am prepared to ignore that card pretty much. And he surely was a lot better in Scars of Mirrodin, but we'll try to find him. Yeah, I don't think there is either. I am skipping him. I'm assigning him a 9th to 11th pick here. And we're moving on to Sanctum Gargoyle that I recently played in I played him in Boros Kitty in Pauper, where he was very useful, though he does require that you have an artifact in your graveyard. So he also goes into the graveyard, into the artifact deck, but he's a 2/3 flyer anyway, so that makes him a lot more useful than a 1/2 artifact guy. Where is he from? Also from Scars of Mirrodin, I guess. Arch enemy. Shards of Alara. But isn't it true that I don't do cubes at all, but I thought that in the MTGO cube you were looking for specific strategies. And it looks very much that there is an artifact deck here that you should be able to draft if you're alone in it. As there is very clearly a Fairies deck here. Shards of Alara review white. Let's see what John Laux before nice picture before limited resources. What a great source, cause I think I trust his judgment a lot. So let's see what he has to say about the Sanctum Gargoyle. There is. Well, 4 stars. There should be about as many artifacts. Only 10. Is there only 10 artifacts? Wow, that's bad. Okay, maybe it's worse than in Shards of Alara, though I don't really know how many artifacts there were in Shards of Alara. So 2/3 flyer with some upside. I am rating it as I would rake a Windrake, a 3rd to 5th pick. Or higher if you can get the right deck. I'm looking at Mythic Spoilers, mythicspoiler.com here, because it's just the most beautiful spoiler. So I like looking at it. Okay, that's it for the Sanctum Gargoyle. Now we're looking at yeah, if I first pick a sword, I'll scoop up Sanctum Gargoyles. Yeah, I presume that the Salvation spoiler is the same as this one. I think they are, Mythic spoiler might very well be feeding from Salvation. I'm skipping to Feud Killer's Verdict. 6 mana, you gain 10 life. Then if you have more life than opponent, put a 5/5 Giant Warrior creature token onto the battle. Okay, that means that you probably... what do you mean halfway spoiled? I know that Modern Masters is just halfway spoiled. This is part 2 of my series. I try to review the limited the cards for limited as soon as they are spoiled, based on how good they were in their last set. And I intend to do more parts to get a head start on the limited format, and then we have to look at the limited format as a whole, of course. But that's a later exercise. Feud Killer's Verdict. I think I can... It's a 5/5 Giant Warrior and 10 lives. That's a lot of incidental life gain. But it's still not super impressive. Maybe I should explain what I'm doing here in the... you don't get a lot of text on Twitch. There is a part 1 to this on MagicGatheringStrat.com. Here you can see part 1. MagicGatheringStrat.com, Thinking About Modern Masters Limited part 1. I did assign this... I did say that this was part 2, right? Yes. Great. Are there enough giants to force? But of course it looks like they are building the giant archetype, right? So Feud Killer's Verdict. A 6 mana creature. It's really interesting to see how fast this format will be. Blue overpowered. That, I think I can believe that, because in a best of modern set, blue should be overpowered. I'm gonna rate this guy as a 5th to 7th pick. I'll play him in a white deck, but I will not be happy about playing a 6 mana dude. And his ability might even fail, because you might be down to less than 10. And here's another giant, yes, white-red giant, Thundercloud Shaman. When he enters the battlefield, he deals damage equal to the number of giants you control to each non-giant creature. Well, that sounds pretty useful. Yeah, Dark Confidant isn't the best. I don't know about Tarmogoyf in Limited, but it's a mythic, so I don't care a lot about it right now. So, next card, Thundercloud Shaman. He will do 1 point of damage or something, at the very least. Being a 4/4 body, sounds okay, sounds better than the Few Killers Verdict. And if you can get the giant deck, what do you do in your early turns? You play Kithkins and stuff. Yeah, of course. I think you should... Modern Masters is very expensive, and my normal rule is to get something. If there's something worth more than 3 tickets, I always pick it for the money, because it's one booster, and its effect is probably smaller than that. I might go down to 2 tickets for money picks, and I think you have to raise your bar for the money picks in Modern Masters. Maybe it's 4 or 5 tickets for a money pick, but Goyf will always be worth more than that. So yes, Tarmogoyf is always the first pick, which means that reviewing it for Limited is really pointless, because you will just pick it unless you're playing in the Pro Tour or in the final day of a Grand Prix. So this Thundercloud guy, how many Sheeped Giants are there? How many Sheeped Giants? Can I do this for 2? Can I do this for 3? Huh. So how much damage will he do? Let's assume he does it for... Hi Tomo. Let's assume he does 2 damage on the average in the giant deck. How good is that? A 4/4 that does damage to each non-giant creature. Christ. Okay. That's pretty good against fairies. That's a good point. Will he not kill all your support creatures, like the Kithkin Greatheart next to the Shaman here? He looks pretty good, doesn't he? So we have to look for a review on him. Where is he from? Thundercloud Shaman. Morning Tide, thank you. And we did have the Morning Tide red review here. So let's look at him. So many interesting cards here. Where is he? Wasn't he red? Am I confused now? Thundercloud Shaman. Cloud Goat should be very good. He's from Lorvin. Oh, you cheated me. Oh, you wrote Lorvin. Sorry. Okay, so we need to find a Lorvin review. To see what the great thinkers have been thinking. Lorvin White, black, is John Laux too. I want to find his red review then. John Laux, pretty good source on limited knowledge. Pretty horrible haircut at the time. I wish they could write all their reviews with like links to the others. Well, let's qualify it. Red. There. Owen Turtenwald. Yeah, I can believe him too. Let's look what he thinks about the Thundercloud Shaman. You will be redirected. Fairies and Merfolk were the most powerful in Lorwyn Draft. Good to know. Owen Turtenwald says about the Thundercloud Shaman. There is. Limited. Oh, that's a load of stars. The card is absolutely unfair. He's saying first pick this thing. And I'm not the one who will mess with Owen Turtenwald or claim that I know better, so I'm just first picking this until I'm proven wrong. Countryside Crusher, yeah, we did discuss him earlier. And he seems to be pretty good. Let's go to the next card. Kith King Greatheart, did I already review that? Gotta check. No, I didn't. So, this guy goes in the giant deck and then Thundercloud Shaman kills him, right? But it's worth it. He will be a 3/2 first strike if you control a giant, so that is not happening very early in the game, right? I assume the first giant come out on 4 mana. Am I right? Is this a Lorwyn or a Morningtide card? He's from Lorwyn. So we need a white review of Lorwyn. Kith King Greatheart. Two power for 2 mana, blah blah. You pick up a few giants to help the Greatheart become a 3/2 first striker more often. A 3/2 first striker is very solid in limited, of course it is. First giant will probably come out in turn 6. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. This seems like a very, very deck specific dude. He will be just a Goblin Piker, which is almost unplayable. If you're not the giant deck. So you should be able to get this guy, if you are the giant deck, pretty easily. I'd say he is a 3rd to 5th pick if you are giants, an 8th to 10th pick if you are not. Who is my source here? Star Wizard, okay. Well, credit to him. And I feel done with the Greatheart, and we move on to yesterday's spoiled cards. Eternal Witness. Well, I was around to play with Eternal Witness in the dark past. So let's look at my notes then. Yes, Eternal Witness is a pretty high pick. Yeah. The note is, there isn't much tech to this card. It's awesome, everyone knows it's awesome, everyone knows why it is awesome. Yeah, I'd say it's the 1st to 3rd pick. You can first pick other stuff, like the rare over it. So yeah. I think we're all in agreement about Eternal Witness. And I'm just happy I sold mine a month ago for 6 tickets each. Because they are gonna be worth very little soon. I did sell everything actually. I sold all my modern cards because I figured that this was what they were going to do. Just let everything out. And the sad thing is that there will probably be, if this is a success, there will be a Modern Masters 2, so then I will have to sell everything again. And a good time to do that would probably be in February, or January, when modern prices are highest. I have to advertise my article here on trading cards over the year. So check this out at Pure MTGO, season trading cycles, when different card prices are higher and lower on Magic Online for different months of the year. Anyway, I'm a much better trader than I am a limited player, so feel free to criticize my picks. I want to learn. Yeah, purchasing the modern cards in, I would say you should purchase modern cards in August, because prices will fall. It is a limited set in paper, but I don't think they're limiting it at all online. So online should be flooded with modern cards. And as soon as Modern Masters is getting drafted, I would look at investing in Dragon's Maze, because that format will be drafted less. But this is not the finance show. Back to the action. Murderous Redcap. Looks like a very, very good card, right? It's trying to be a Flame Tongue Kavoo twice. That just sounds really, really good. But how good? Where is it from? It sounds like a first pick to me. On one thing, Shadowmoor. There's a lot of first pick cards in this set. And I think eventually we will have to grade them against each other and reduce some of them. Shadowmoor limited review. It's a hybrid card. 5th pick for a guy. It's a 2/2 for 4. That's pretty bad, of course, but it is double removal in the best of world. Shadowmoor individual card limited review. King Nothing. I have no idea who this guy is. Yeah, it is pretty. Oh, it's a hybrid card, right? So it could go either in black or red decks. There seems to be an order to this, and I don't think this guy has the credit I want. Limited Commons review, Shadowmoor Vintage Set review, Limited Lessons, Shadowmoor Eventide. It was a later pick during Shadowmoor draft, was it? It looks so good. Maybe I have to go with the first review then. Okay, this guy thinks it's the first pick. And I would also think it's a pretty powerful card. No, I don't. Yeah, there's Golden Hybrid. That's a real good point, MTGO magazine. What is the average toughness of creature in this format? We don't know that yet. And this card is an excellent card if there is a lot of 2 toughness creatures. If 3 toughness is the norm, like in Return to Ravnica, this guy is not that good. But if Fairies is the best deck and you can kill 2 Fairies with this guy, then it's rather good. Okay, gotta credit the dude. He was King Nothing. I am gonna My instinct is to first pick this card, dreaming of it being a Flame Tongue Kabu. But it might very well be lower. Yeah, there will definitely be tribal things going on, but there's a lot of things going on in this set. So what will dominate? That's hard to tell. Yet. Pyromancer's Swath. Okay, what's this? If an instant sorcerer you control deals damage to a creature player, deals that damage +2 to that creature player instead. At the end of turn, discard your hand. This looks like utter crap. I know it's not close to Flame Tongue Kavu, but I just want to dream about FTK. This looks like utter garbage. Anybody thinks this is good? How many people are viewing this now? This is... I gotta know how many you are. 10. Cool. Alright, back to the Swath. Oh yes, it goes into the Grapeshot deck. There is a Storm deck in this set, pretty clearly. Only for the Storm guy. On the other hand, if you're sitting there trying to build your Storm, you can't do it because you have to discard your hand at the end of turn. And if you want to play this as one of your Storm count cards, it costs a lot of mana. But you have to play it the same turn you play the Grapeshot. So it really asks you a lot. Can such a deck be built in Limited? I want to see it before I believe it. It's a 15th pick in my book. Until I'm proven wrong. I'll add the small or higher there. And I think we can ignore Pyromancer's Swath. Off to the Street Wraith. Living End wasn't cheap enough in Modern, so they reprinted Street Wraith. You didn't have to pay 3 cents for him. But how good is he in Limited? Well, he does cycle for life. That's interesting. He has Swamp Walk. Pretty good. And it's a 3/4 body. If you're not playing against black, I think he fails the Valera test. But maybe the cycling makes up for that. And if you're playing against black, he's a win condition in himself. At 5 mana, you really want more than this. How does black look so far? They have spoiled. I think black is the color that is the least spoiled yet. How many black decks will there be? I think when push comes to shove, this is just a creature you want in your deck, but it's not something you will be amazed at. But which set is he from? Let's look at some review of him as well. Oh, okay. Street Wraith. Future Sight. You are right, sir. It is Future Sight. And Future Sight was pretty weird, so maybe it is an environment quite similar to Modern Masters. No cards. My future site review part a lot. Benny Smith. Let's look for Street Wraith. This doesn't look limited at all. No, it wasn't. Future site mechanic review, spotlight on future site for competitive play. Maybe this is something. Thiago Chan is our new source here. It didn't make his notable sealed deck cards. Well, this guy is serious about analyzing limited. He didn't rate it as one of the best cards. What do you think, guys? Street Wraith. If there is recursion available, guy will be quite playable, yes. I am entering him as an average creature, saying that his abilities make up for his low power and toughness and high casting cost. But if there is recursion, he goes up a lot. A 12th pick is a very, very late card. A 12th pick is a card that you don't play, pretty much. Playability ends at about 9th, 10th in my way of reviewing it. So if I say something is a 12th pick, you will play it extremely rarely. Rift Bolt. Lightning Bolt is not in the set. I wouldn't expect it. Absolutely not. I think they've reprinted Lightning Bolt enough, and that would just make people disappointed and waste a slot. 8th, 9th pick for the Street Wraith, I assume. I'm gonna first pick Rift Bolts all day. It's a typical 1st to 3rd pick card. Just quality removal. Gotta pick it high. And Lava Spike is a card I traditionally hated in Limited so much. But I just listened to the Limited Resources episode, the most recent one, 184 perhaps it was, with Brian Wong telling people that the Onslaught card that did 7 damage to target player was super good. And that made me revise my thinking a bit. One thing about a card that does damage to players is that you know that you have this card in your hand, so you can play the game a bit differently. That the opponent starts with 17 lives when you have this, and he doesn't know it. But of course, being unable to hit creatures is a horrible drawback. I would not have looked at this card at all unless he had said that. And it's an Onslaught card, and we used to play during Onslaught, or Kamigawa, I mean. So let's look at what I have in my old files. Yeah, it wasn't unusable. It's listed as an 8th to 10th pick in Kamigawa. And the comments here is Spark Elemental in Sorcery for an Arcane, but Arcane won't do anything good. And you say it was horrible in Kamigawa, and I can only agree. I'm gonna downgrade this. I'm not gonna ace pick this card ever. But I might 11th pick it. I'm saying 11th to 13th. I could see a deck that played this card, but it would be sad to see that. Okay, next card, Mind Funeral. Mind Funeral should occupy pretty much the same spot as the card from Gatecrash did. Mind, can't remember the name. Let's look up Mind Funeral. It looks like a win condition, but it's just a mill card. Is there a mill deck around? But it mills a lot. Yeah, if you draft Rift Bolts, Lightning Helixes, and Lava Spikes, you might have something playable, but you probably have something more playable if you draft Rift Bolts, Lightning Helixes, and creatures. What about Mind Funeral? 3 mana. You will, on the average, remove 10 cards. It sounds just like Mind Sculpt, pretty much. And Mind Sculpt was a horrible, horrible trap card in M13 draft. It's the only mill card. Okay, that sells it. I'm not gonna play it. I think it's worse than Mind Sculpt because it has no support at all. And Mind Sculpt was one of the very worst cards in M13. So yeah, there could be other mill cards in that. If there are, we must change this. It's an uncommon, so you probably can't get a deck full of them. You should be happy if you get 2, and even 2 Mind Funerals will not finish an average limited game. Okay, it's time for Fairy. A really weird fairy that I've never seen. It's a Latchkey Fairy, and he prowls. I wish I was around during these sets. Okay, I may cast it for its prowl cost if you dealt combat damage to a player with a Fairy or Rogue. Whoa. Yeah, but you can never get 4 Mind Funerals in a draft if it's an uncommon. You can't reliably pick up more than 2, maybe 3, but 4 is extremely hard. Think about it. There is 24 packs opened. That means 72 cards, of which there are maybe 100 uncommons. So on the average, less than 1 Mind Funeral is open per pool. Yeah, but you have sole right to this 0.8 Mind Funerals on the average. So you're probably not gonna like. So Latchkey was okay. It's a 3/1 flyer. You may sometime draw a card. Oh, it sounds reasonable. Sounds like a bread and butter card in the Fairies deck. Sorry for my English, by the way. I am Swedish, so English is not my native language. That's why I sound like a drunk Viking. Card for the Fairy deck. Is it a 4th or 5th pick? I'm saying 4th pick. It's still a 3 power flyer for 4 mana. And that can win games on its own. MM drafts, how much are they going to cost? They're going to cost a lot. I'm not sure exactly how much, but it's much more expensive than normal. Glad that the Polish can understand me. Shout out to Poland. There's a lot of Poles looking at my YouTube channel. I run a YouTube channel called MagicGatheringStrat, the same as this Twitch channel. It has about 10 times as many viewers. We are talking about limited cards in Modern Masters. Whoa, that's expensive. Yeah. There will be Modern Master drafts on this Twitch channel and definitely on the YouTube channel. There is an article, I'm writing an article about this, and I have the first part here, thinking about Modern Masters Limited on MagicGatheringStrat.com. This is part 2. Alright, next card is Dream Spoiler Witches. Sounds like some of my ex-girlfriends. It's a fairy. It's a 2/2 fairy that flies for 4 mana. And you get to kill stuff with your instant. This looks like a really good card. I love to kill stuff with my instant. Looks like a great card in the fairy mirror. You see how few black cards. This is just the 3rd black card I review. Dream Spoiler Witches. Where are they from? Lorwyn? Well, there's my bot telling you about the YouTube channel as well in the chat. We are in Lorwyn Limited Review Black then. Let's look for it. It is quite clear that you will be able to draft the fairies deck. So, how good is this? What does John Laux say? We do believe in John Laux. Okay, I'm keeping myself from making a joke about his haircut there. So, way too small to affect the board the turn you play it, and has an even smaller effect when you play instants. Instants you're playing should be answers to themselves, and shouldn't need the help from these witches. Flying feels a lot more relevant in Lorwyn than it was in Time Spiral. The question is, how relevant will flying be in Modern Masters? Yes, I'm Dan. You can recognize me with my strange accent. Dream Spoiler Witch once dealt 14 damage to me. It also allows for some pretty awesome plays involving pepper smoke. They keep growing. He has given them a 3-star review. And I think that puts them at the 4th to 6th pick. This will of course change depending on how good the fairies deck is. But that will affect all the fairies. I wonder if they will reprint Pepper Smoke. Okay, too small, too conditional. Well, I was thinking about the 5th to 7th pick. I will include your comment there, Karos. You made the article. Well, I'm not going to dwell on that card. It's either a 4th or 5th pick. And we are moving on to the Fairy Mechanist. He can fly. He's a 2/2. Well, is he better than the Dream Spoiler Witches or not? When he enters the battlefield, look at the 3 cards, top cards of the library. Ooh, wow. This is not good. This is like an Ogre of Bolas in M13 Limited. And you are happy if you can get... Sometimes in M13 you could get like the 8-9 instant sorceries deck. That could fuel Talrand and Ogre and Archaeomancer, etc. But if you have to go for all the fairies, you won't pick up 8 artifacts, though this guy has flying. And how good is a 2/2 vanilla flyer? It's still playable, isn't it? Look at the artifact guy in... Yeah, maybe this is an affinity card and not a fairies card, because you will be drafting archetypes in this format. That's a valid point. But the effect is still rather marginal. 20 or more artifact. Well, you probably can't get that. So we need to know how good a flyer. How good is a 2/2 flyer for 4? because that is what he is going to be. And I would say it's still playable. 7th to 9th pick. That's about the level of a bear. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he makes a 7th to 9th pick. I don't think we need to look at him further. He's pretty bad. But what about the Darkwood Baloth? What about this guy? I've seen him played in Pauper land destruction decks where he was really good. You play him around turn 1, then you destroy a lot of land, and finally he shows up and just beats down. Yeah, at least he flies. That's why the Mechanist made 7th to 9th pick. I like this guy. I like Darkwood Baloth a lot, but I need other opinions on him because I don't trust myself in this. Where is he from? He is from Time something. It's a 5/5. It's from Time Spiral Green then. So let's see if somebody has something wise to say about him. Here is a Star City. Yeah, 4th to 5th pick, probably. Sounds reasonable. Where's the article? There. Interesting that the forum thread about the article linked higher than the article. The early picks. Darkwood Baloth. Much like Siegeworm. This is such high pick because it's basically the only good green common fatty. It's fine to cast a 6 mana. What makes Sing is the suspend. It will come racing in play in turn 6 with haste at no cost. It sounds like a high pick. If we trust this guy. Paying 1 mana for a guy that comes into play and is relevant when he does. I think I'm happily third picking this guy. 35th pick. And I'm prepared to lower it if he's bad. Depends a bit on the other green creatures. Of course it's pack dependent, but everything in draft is pack dependent. That's why we have a range and not like pick this 4th. This is just a grade, but I think it's a more relevant grade than giving like letter grades, because when to pick it is really the only thing you care about when drafting. You don't care if it's an A or an A plus or a B plus if they are all first picks. That's why I use this grading system. Well, I feel done with the Darkwood Baloth. And we're moving on to search for tomorrow. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield. That's sweet. You can suspend it. Okay, you get 1 land for 1 mana or for 3 mana. Sounds a lot like Farseek. Really? Better or worse than Farseek? It's untapped, yes, that's relevant, absolutely. And that probably means it is better than Farseek. I trust myself as an authority on M13. You can search mtgostrat.com to learn why. So I trust my grades on the M13 cards pretty well. And I rated Farseek as a 6th to 8th pick. It is a support card. It will accelerate you to the 5 drops, to the 6 drops, maybe even to the 4 drops if you miss a land drop early. Can get any land. Pretty much sounds like a Farseek. Farseek is strong because it can accelerate you into a 4 drop on turn 3. I still think this is not something you would pick over a quality creature, or removal, or of course over bomb. So I am thinking 6th to 8th pick here. It's definitely playable for sure. That was not what I wanted to copy paste. I have dual screens here, so sorry for doing stuff on the other screen. Okay, do we have some defenders for... Yep, quite good ones. The creature's removal is gone. I think we agree on search for tomorrow, and we will happily pick it as a 6th pick. Oh, we are back on May the 27th. And here is Stinkweed Imp. So if you can... I just assume that Living End is a card in this set. It hasn't been spoiled yet. But it will be a rare, so you can't draft around it. So what's the use of Dredge? Is there something abusable about it? Maybe you just don't have to abuse it anyway. This is a flying thing that kills anything, which should be pretty good. And my brain is starting to malfunction. Need more coffee. Bridge from below. Good call. Dredge is from Ravnica, right? And I did play Ravnica too. He likes to hold the sword. Yeah, I bet he does. Stinkweed Imp. Slow clock. Keep the sky safe while your ground forces pound away. A 4th to 6th pick. Well, I can agree with that. That was my judgment back in 2005. Right before I gave up on Magic for a while. For a pretty long while, actually. But if you can abuse him somehow, reliably, he goes up in value a lot. He's a key card in a pauper deck. Yeah, let's pick him as a 4th to 6th pick. Masked Admirers is the next card. When Masked Admirers enter the battlefield, draw a card, 4 mana, 3/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay 2 green and return Masked Admirers from your graveyard to your hand. I am not really sure what Bridge from Below is, so I'll let the chat take care of that. And I'm looking into Masked Admirers. They sound creepy. It's a Lorwyn card. Oh, they did make it uncommon from being a rare. Cedric Phillips. I think he is somewhat reliable as a source, at least. And Masked Admirers is the card we're looking for. It's an elf that draws. That sounds pretty good. Why are they masked and what are they admiring? It sounds like stalkers. There they were, right? Yes. Whoa! A limited bomb. This guy's giving it a 5 out of 5. Haro Ona was considered a very good card in Kamigawa block because you could keep drawing cards with it, but if it died the fun was over. The fun only begins if Masked Admirers hit the graveyard. It's somewhat like the Pharaoh in M12, isn't it? I didn't play a lot of M12 limited. But the reusable draws and the fact that you can never get rid of him is pretty strong. He is inevitability, much like the Angel in Gatecrash, right? The Death Pact Angel. And from what I hear from limited resources and from what I learn in limited, I think that this kind of card is really useful. And I'm prepared to bomb rate it. It's just a 3-2. That's a reliable thing, but it's a 3-2 that draws a card. That's a pretty high pick even there. And if you can control the opponent, if the game goes long, you win. This guy wins you the game by himself, because he will be coming back, drawing your cards, getting more creatures, being able to come back again. Of course, the Angel in Gatecrash was stronger in itself. Okay, I'm not rating it as a bomb, I'm rating it as a first to third pick. Because I can definitely see a lot of cards. So probably some uncommons you'll pick over this as well. Like the Cloud Goat guy. City of Brass is not very high pick and limited. Let's get to doubling season. Doubling season is here because people just love it, don't they? But do you play doubling season in? Yeah, you first pick it, and then you force. Exactly what? The counter spells. No, the spells with counters. But how many are those? This can't be playable, can it? Empty the Warrens doesn't place counters. It's not tokens. Oh, it did tokens and counters. Sorry. Well, doubling season, Empty the Warrens. If you do it in the same turn for 9 mana, you get 8 goblins. Elspeth is a rare, right? And this is a rare. So is there any common except Empty the Warrens? Talids and stuff. This looks like a trap. I don't think it will be worth a lot actually after this. Sorry for going into financials again. This isn't a finance show. Doubling season. It's worth 657 now. Yeah, the foil will be worth a lot, but you can get foils to your heart content here for 9. I think this will drop to 2, 3. Definitely. I think you're underestimating how drafted this set will be. There is no limit on the amount of packs on Magic Online, and people will draft this unless it's super expensive. People think it's too expensive. Now I lost track of what I'm doing. I think doubling season is one of those cards that limited resources wouldn't spend too much time on, because it's good in very, very specific decks that you can't often get. 30 tickets per draft, it's pretty... Oh, 20, 30. 30 sounds a lot. Have they listed the price of Modern Masters Draft? Or is this just speculation? 20 seems reasonable, but the packs are like 7, 8, so 3 packs plus 2 tickets sounds reasonable. So if the packs are 8, I think it would be 26. I don't think they will add more than 2 tickets, because that's not really justifiable, as the packs are already so highly priced. Here's a link. Thank you, Zapdox. We're clicking on the link. It's a virus! Stupid Zapdox. Oh, it wasn't a virus. Oh my god. But these are the premier drafts. They are 30 because they have added price. The boost draft queues are 30 event tickets. 9 events ticket. Wow. Yeah, no, it wasn't a virus. I was just kidding. That is really expensive. Really expensive. And the Phantom booster draft queues for 8. Wow. This is expensive. Well, it's hard to predict what it will do to the prices, but so let's stop doing that. Of course, we are here to review this for limited. And we are talking about doubling season. And I think you definitely should not money pick this, because I think the money pick limit is, oh now I'm talking finance again, it's about 4, somewhere between 4 and 5 ticks in this set. And this will be worth less. I'm acknowledging that there might be a deck for it. And I'm saying it's the 13th to 15th pick. And here is a Talid. It's a 1/1 creature with a marginal effect. And I was playing Fallen Empires when I even played Fallen Empires Limited. Fallen Empires Limited is horrible. It's the worst thing you can experience in Magic overall. It's actually really, really, really terrible. So I'm glad they never released Fallen Empires on... but they say that everything before Mirage is undraftable. But Ice Age wasn't undraftable. Ice Age was quite a good draft format, actually. But Fallen Empires, yes, you couldn't draft Fallen Empires. You were better off sitting there pulling out each other's nails and watching the Talids grow. But I think this is a crap card. This is a really bad card. You can support it. There will be stuff to support this strategy, but the strategy was never very good. And you will end up playing just a 1/1 for 1 that will get outclassed immediately. And I don't think this card is worth a slot in your deck. And a 1/1 for 1 is almost worthless in Limited. Like a Merfolk of the Pearl Trident, you're often better off playing just a basic land. So I would play this as a 13th to 15th pick. Yeah, I bet it was worthless in Time Spiral as well. It was even worthless in the Talid decks in Constructed. There were Talid decks in Constructed, but this guy wasn't good enough for them. Talid Germinator. Which Swedish? There is only one kind of Swedish, I think. Like people from Sweden. And I'm a Swede from Sweden. Talid Germinator, 3 mana for 2/2. Oh, gets a spore counter every turn. He can put the sapling token into play, but he can use the sapling tokens to grow stuff on his own every turn. My name is Dan. On the third, every 3 turns, he can cast a mini giant growth on something. I'm not impressed. Though he is better than a Grey Ogre. Is he better than a bear? Would you rather have a grizzly bear than this guy? Probably. Probably better. But let's assume, let's give the Talid deck credit here and assume that this guy is as good as a grizzly bear. That would make him a 6th to 8th pick. But that sounds really high. Somebody on the channel, give me an opinion. What do you think of Talid Germinator? Do you puke on Talid Germinator? Oh, 19 people. Hi everyone. This is my streaming record. So that's how good of a streamer I am. I am better at doing YouTube stuff. There is a YouTube channel with this with the same name, and it has 10 times the number of subscribers. Can you zoom in on the Talid? Actually, I don't know how to zoom in XSplit. But I can do it in a workaround way. Maybe I can just click on it. Oh, no, I couldn't. Oh, that was the wrong Talid. Yeah, if I'm spending $30 on the draft, I will not be drafting Talids. MTGO Magazine, you make the document. Yeah, this guy is going down. 8th to 10th pick. I wish I could get a bigger picture on this. I'm using XSplit and it's very unfriendly. I'm not that experienced with it, and I might destroy the YouTube film that I'm making at the same time. But the Tally let's ignore this Tally Germinator and move on to the Cloud Goat Ranger. And yeah, so what I could do, you can follow along on mythicspoiler.com, or I could cut this document so you don't see the document and focus on the cards and the chat. I'll try that. So now everything will look crazy for a while. What do you think of this? Can you see the cards now? We are on Cloud Goat Ranger. Now you can see my fantastic notes, but I guess they were the least interesting part of this. Do you listen to Limited Resources, the podcast? It is the #1 source of information about Limited. It is the best podcast. I run a show on YouTube actually called the Top 10 Magic Podcasts, and Limited Resources always win, because it's just fantastic. And they actually they had a very good episode, 184, about evaluating cards for Limited. And they gave 4 phases of a card. How good is the card? Is it in development? If you cast it on time for the mana cost. How good is the card if you're winning? How good is the card if you're losing? And how good is the card if you're on parity? In parity, that's if there's a stalemate. And this card was given as an example as one of the best uncommons ever printed. That this is a card that is always very good in development, if you're winning, if you're losing, and on parity. This card wins games no matter when you play it. And it is a clear first pick approaching a bomb, which is it changes the board state no matter what. Hi, Fog Donkey. Finally someone I know. Alright, so if you want to know why Cloud Goat Ranger is such a good card, listen to the Brian Wong episode with Limited Resources. You can find it on mtgcast.com, and it's definitely worth listening to if you want to evaluate cards in Limited anytime, because Brian Wong is one very good mind and thinks about Limited in a very good way, as does Marshall Sutcliffe that interviews him. And it's just and I'll copy your comment here, Fog Donkey, for the document. And it's a clear first pick. Whoa, and it's giant! I didn't notice that. And I am giving him the bomb notice. Alright, we are back to May 26. And we are going to talk about Tombstalker. Tombstalker is a giant flyer. A 5/5 flyer, dragon, for 8 mana, but you can delve him, so you can exile cards from your graveyard. Do you have 2 cards in your graveyard on turn 7, which is a demon as well, yes. Turn 7, you can expect to make your 6 land drop in a 17 land deck. I know he's a demon, but he's a 5/5 flyer. That's what I mean by dragon. Sorry for being unclear. He's a demon. You could probably cast him reliable on turn 7 for 6 mana. You might hit 5 mana on turn 6. Do you have 3 cards in your graveyard then? Probably not. Though, as a 5/5 flyer that you can cast on turn 6, that's the first pick already, isn't it? That's what you want in Limited. And if there's any way to speed up if, for example, with Dredge, this guy's just broken. No, don't play Mind Funeral. If you play Mind Funeral, you are down a card. You have taken a mulligan. So don't do that. Bat Stinkweed Imp. You could play this guy on turn 4. So and there are probably more Dredge cards in the set. So I'm rating him as a first to third pick, and I don't think we need to think about him more. What about Revelark? I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. I sold these two, very happy for that. We can evoke him for 6 mana. Okay. For 5 mana, we get the 4/3 flyer. That's pretty strong. That's pretty good in itself. And I think a 4/3 flyer for 5 mana is close to at least a second pick. But he's returning stuff. If he gets 2 creature cards from the graveyard, it's just incredible, isn't it? We really need to downgrade some cards later, because not everything can be a first pick. But we can't do that before we have the entire set. And of course we can expect them to spoil the good cards. Maybe it's not weird. Okay, let's spell this. Revelark. So much value. And a 4/3 flyer for 5. I'm sold. And I place that at the first to third pick. I think its effect will come up a lot. On turn 6, when you cast this for 5 mana, the chance that a creature with power 2 less have died and are in your graveyard, and is in your graveyard, that's pretty likely, isn't it? I'd say it happened more than 50% of the time at least. And if you draw this guy late game and have 2 creatures, if you can get back Arcbound Ravager or something like that, though that is not a very good limited card, they will not, maybe not turn the game, but they will be value. I think I'm fairly happy to first pick this. So let's switch to the Ethersworn Canonist. Or let's not. I think I already reviewed him. No, I didn't. Okay, let's switch him. Ethersworn Canonist. He is a sideboard card, right? For constructed. But how good is he in limited? How good is this guy in limited? It's a bear. Each player who played a non-artifact spell this turn can't play additional non-artifact spells. Witness Revelark. Yeah, that will be nice. I think Revelark is a very, very strong card, and that's all we need to know. Pretty much. We will need to spend more time thinking about the mediocre cards if you want to play them or not, because we'll always first pick Revelark and we'll always play him. Basically, there might be sometime you have to first pick a foil Tarmogoyf or something. But what about this Canonist? Okay, you have a lot of artifact spells, then he can't cast 2 spells a turn. Is that really that bad for him? It feels very marginal. I would say this is a bear pretty much. And I'm picking him as a 6th to 8th pick, because you need bears in limited. And I think you will need bears in Modern Masters Limited for sure. Anybody have anything to say about the Ethersworn Canonist? The Ethersworn Canonist? I don't know how to pronounce it. 4th pick. That's pretty high for a bear. Though he might be a money pick. No, he probably won't be. He's just a sideboard card. 6 to 8. Yeah. Oh wow, he's worth nothing. He is worth absolutely 0 or 15 cents. So let's let's consider him a 6 to 8 pick, and a happy little bear with a small upside. Here is a fancy card, and he didn't become a mythic even. The Grand Arbiter Augustine IV for all the Commander players out there. How good is this guy in limited? A trap, yeah, I think he looks like a trap. He's a 2/3 that performs a little better than a Goblin Electromancer. And maybe his powers make him a 3/3. That is as powerful as a 3/3. Is he a Hill Giant? Or is he better than a Hill Giant? If you pack a lot of expensive stuff, but now I'm falling into the trap, right? And he won't be worth anything. He'll be a 5-cent card, I expect, like Sylvan Primordial. Fairies, it seems very expensive in a Fairies deck. And what kind of Fairies do you want to cast for 6 mana? Or 5? I want... this guy looks as good as a Hill Giant. I think he can compensate for his low power with his abilities, and I will 5th to 7th pick him. Counterspells are often a trap in limited, and I haven't seen a lot of decent counterspells here, so I don't think counterspelling will be a very good idea, except for Spellstutter Sprite, of course. And of course in the Fairies deck there will be counterspells, but I think this guy isn't very exciting. And yeah, 5th to 7th pick, Grand Arbiter Augustine IV. Play him in Commander and get hated! What about the Pacts? What about the Pacts in limited? Do you count them like you pay the mana, but you paid next turn? So Pact of Negation is counterspell that costs 5. That sounds reasonable, right? And a counterspell that costs 5 is horribly bad. It's only good in control versus control matchups. And I think in a control versus control matchup, the control deck that doesn't have to keep 5 mana open is the control deck that wins. So I would think that Pact of Negation is close to unplayable. Yeah, Summoner's Pact is 4 mana then for any creature in your deck. That sounds pretty good. And Slaughter Pact is a Dark Banishing, and that is definitely a first pick, or third pick. So, but counterspelling something for 5 mana, but you don't have to keep the mana open, because you pay next turn. And that makes it a lot better. That makes it absolutely on the same level as does it put it on the same level as Cancel, which is still a crap card in limited? Let's look what I said about Cancel, what people said about Cancel for Ravnica block. And of course, Return to Ravnica was a very fast format. I don't think this format will be as fast. I play Summoner's Pact if I have enough expensive creatures. Oh, Pact of Negation. No, but I wouldn't play Cancel either. So for the Counterspell Crowd, I would rate it as a cancel. You don't really want to counter anything at 3 mana anyway. So that means it goes to 7th to 9th pick. And I don't think Pact of Negation is unplayable. It will be more surprising than a cancel. And actually thinking about it, being free to tap out as much as you want. Yeah, of course it's a sideboard card against control, but the 7th to 9th pick is the sideboard card that you sometimes play, sometimes not. I have hope for it. I think I could play it as a 23rd card. Nobody loves Pact of Negation. Do you agree it's better than cancel? Alright, let's ignore the Pact of Negation and move over to Slaughter Pact. And Slaughter Pact is it's a Dark Banishing. It's nothing else. It's a Dark Banishing that can sometimes surprise the heck out of people. I'd say it's a Dark Banishing with an upside. And that's a clear first pick. You should pick bombs over it, but not much else. Quality removal, quality almost unconditional removal. As the black creatures are not... I think it's very clearly first to third pick. It's... I don't see why you wouldn't pick this early. This is a card that wins games, because it does kill their bomb. So, Slaughter Pact, very good. Absolutely the best of the pacts, I think I can say right now. So let's talk about Summoner's Pact. And if you don't pick removal very early in Limited, you don't win a lot. Or at least you don't win as much as you should. Summoner's Pact, we are paying 4 mana here on the next turn. And it's an instant. But wait a minute, the card is in your hand. I was thinking that it entered the battlefield. Oh, it's a tutor. Making your creature you really want 4 more mana. Oh, what would you get with the Summoner's Pact? Yeah, if it entered the battlefield, it would be broken. Yeah, I see that now. It would be a lot better than Tooth and Nail. So what are you getting? What is worth 4 mana extra to get? Emrakul is not in the set. Okay, so let's say you get a Tombstalker. Is that worth it? You have to spend 2 turns, 10 mana, probably around 9 to 10 mana to play the Tombstalker. You're getting a Revelark. You're getting a first pick creature. That's not unplayable, is it? Makes me want to look at my old limited reviews of like 8th or 9th edition and look at Diabolic Tutor. Because this is a worse Diabolic Tutor, as it can only get creatures. I think it's definitely playable. I think you're missing out if you don't consider this playable. Because being able to get your bomb is pretty nice. It's slow but nice. I had Diabolic Tutor as a 35th pick, and I think that is dated. Because that was in a review that was very old. But I would rate this on about the 5th to 7th pick level. Does it matter that you have to pay the mana next turn? Yes, because no, because you can get the creature and play it now, which makes it better than. Yeah, I'm there. I'm there at the 4th to 6th pick. You can play the creature right away and then pay the 4 mana afterwards, which is reasonable. Yeah, it's a 4th to 6th pick, definitely a lot better than the Pact of Negation. What's this? Is it a seal? What? A Selkie? What's that? Looks creepy. Okay, it's a 1/1 with Island Walk. You've lost me already. But it deals combat damage to play. You can draw that many cards. Do you like this guy? Okay, you like him. It looks very, very, very slow. Though Thieving Magpie is a really good card in Limited. Because evasion combined with that ability is very, very strong. But you have to play it against blue. Is it a sideboard card? Or is it a card you only play if you have equipment for him? Yeti is not in the set right now. And I don't expect it to be printed as it's banned. In Limited he sucks. Yeah, that's... I think he doesn't suck if your opponent plays blue. Then he is a very good card. So I'll say draft the Cold Eye Selkie, put it in your sideboard. And how high are you drafting this? I think you're drafting it the 7th and 9th pick. Because that's where I definitely start to pick up the good sideboard cards. In a control versus control matchup, this guy should be decisive. Gotta check the number of viewers. Getting a bit tired here in my head. It's 16 viewers. Hi everyone. And we are approaching the end, but no, we are nowhere near the end. Oh, that's Magic 2014. How many more? Oh, I haven't reviewed these guys either. So we are proceeding. Yeah, where did it go? Cold Eye Selkie. It's a 7th and 9th pick. And the Gavel has fallen. We are at Blinkmoth Nexus. So Blinkmoth Nexus is a free creature. If you don't know why Blinkmoth Nexus is a free creature, you should also listen to Limited Resources, because this takes up a land slot in your deck, and in a 2-color deck you could use it as one of your 17 lands. It's also a perfect excuse to play 18 lands, which is something you really want to do in Limited. So what happens then? He's a flyer. He's a 1/1 flyer. That's not very good. Evasion, very nice. He's a rare. You won't be able to get him. He won't be expensive enough after a few drafts to motivate you money picking him. And you won't get 2 of him. So yes, he is quite bad. Is he even unplayable? You're not getting him late because people will money pick him too early. As this card hit 10 tickets a while ago. It's lower now, but it will hit maybe 6, 7, 8 during modern season. Possibly. 2 Lily Pact. Free in that it takes up a land slot. And being free, it is not unplayable, so I am gonna pick it as an 8th to 10th pick. That means that I'll consider this a 23rd card if I must. I am more happy playing this main deck than a basic land. And I'm definitely using this guy as an excuse to play 18 lands. Okay, Maelstrom Pulse, one of my worst investments. I was playing Yand in Standard in 2010 and then I just quit. Paid 18 tickets for Maelstrom Pulses, came back, and they were not worth very much. Well, destroyed target, non-land permanent. Okay, thank you, I'm sold. It's a first pick. It's not gonna be a money card again, unless it becomes standard legal, and it's not even played a lot in Modern. But it's a first to third pick, it's quality removal. And I think it's even a first pick, right? It's a lot better than Slaughter Pact. It is the best removal you will get, despite not being instant. Actually, not being instant, maybe it is as good as Slaughter Pact is. But it can remove anything. Yeah, it's a sideboard card in Meliropod, I can believe that. But I'm first picking the Maelstrom Pulse. It's you don't have to care about that very much. Just first pick it. Okay, it's time for a bridge from below. And what is this card? What is it trying to do? Is this any good in Limited? Let's read it. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Blue is in your graveyard, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token into the battlefield. So every time a creature dies, you get a zombie. When a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, Bridge from Below, go exiles? But this is just crap, right? This is horrible. You're paying 3 mana and you can't pay 3 mana. You're not playing this ever. You want it to be in your graveyard, but how do you get it in your graveyard? Huh? Okay, you have to dredge it. That's very conditional. That's absolutely super crap. And when you have succeeded jumping through all these hoops, it dies. Okay, so you want to dredge it into your graveyard, and then you dredge again, and then a lot of creatures is put into your graveyard, but they are not from the battlefield, so nothing happens. And then your opponent's creature dies, and Bridge from Blue is exiled. So how do you get your creatures into the graveyard from the battlefield in Limited? So you first have to draw a dredge card, get Bridge from Below into the graveyard, and if Bridge from Blue is in your hand, no, it's just the worst card ever. I would play like my ID card over this. It's a clear 15th pick, I say. It's way too conditional. It's a super trap. Is this what you want to be doing when people are beating you down? Probably not. I am not playing that card. Okay, let's move over to Earwig Squad. Is that a wig they have over their ears? Okay, they are prowling. And they're 5/3/4/5. Well, that's not super bad. Okay, if we manage to prowl, we can search, we can Jester's Cap our opponent. That's pretty powerful in Limited. Getting a cup of coffee, gonna check Wikipedia for the earwig. I am not a native English speaker, so earwigs confuse me a lot, as you can hear by my beautiful Viking accent. It's an insect. That makes sense. So it's a squad of goblins that think they're insects. How easily can you prowl? It should be like Bloodthirst. That is fairly reliably. Or at least more than half the time. So getting a 5/3 creature, I think I need a written opinion on this, so I'm going to look it up. And that didn't work out very well, did it? Why would it be extra good against fairies? Well, fairies extra vulnerable to Jester's Cap. Which set is it from? Gatherer has broken down. Looking at MTGO traders. Earwig Squad is from Morningtide. But it's not a fairy, it's a goblin rogue. And you can only prowl with goblins or rogues. Looking at Nick Eisel's review, I've used his stuff before. Wrong color. Is there a rogue deck? How many rogues have we seen so far? Okay. This guy is giving it a grade of... Both these guys are giving grades of 8. If you can prowl. It does remove your opponent's 3 best cards, which is pretty strong in a limited guy deck. Yeah, and a Jester's Cap on a 5/3 body that doesn't cost extra mana. Looks good. But how high are you picking this? I'm thinking it's a 5-drop. The game might be over by 5. If you're casting this on turn 5, it's pretty good. If you're casting this when you're ahead, it's pretty good, but almost all cards are very good when you're ahead. If you're on the defensive, you don't want a 5/3 body, and the Jester's Cap thing doesn't do anything. So there it's not that good. If you're at parity, it's pretty good. So I'd say this is a 3rd to 5th pick. Do you agree? Or is that picking it too high? And that's assuming you are hoping for rogues. I have no idea how many rogues there are in the set. Latchkey is a rogue. Okay, I think that he might be lower, but he's definitely not higher than a 3rd to 5th pick. Terramorphic Expanse should be serving the same purpose as Evolving Wilds did in M13. And this is a great card. It does slim your deck. It enables you to get more mana. It really helps when setting up a 3-color deck if you have to. And I am picking Terramorphic Expanse. Terramorphic Expanse. That's hard to spell for a Swede. I'm rating it as a 6 to 8 pick. Pestimite is a rogue. Sounds good to me. Dak, more salvage. The Dredgeland. How good is Dredge on a card? Dredge 2. It's very deck specific. It is horrible, right? But it's you gotta compare it to a swamp. So do you prefer this over a swamp? Or would you rather play a swamp? And if you rather play swamp, it has no value. The lowest dredge available on any card. Yeah, I believe that. It looks totally unplayable. But I suppose in the dredge deck it will do something. So I'm picking it as a 7th to 9th pick if you are dredge. If not, do not play this. Yeah, it comes into play tapped. That's sad. So that's why I'm saying that you should only play this if you really want to dredge. Okay guys, I'm getting hungry. It's 10 to 2 here. I have 18 viewers. I'm not giving up on you. I'm gonna continue. This is Magic 2014. Very nice. I think it will be great. I loved Magic 2013 and I think this is looking great for Limited too. But we're not going to talk about that today. So we are over to Modern Masters again. Manamorphose, a staple in Pauper before Storm was banned. Yeah, you should. I have 35 M13 drafts on the YouTube channel. I have written several articles on MagicGatheringStrat about M13. I've written on Pure MTG about M13. M13 is my favorite draft format of all time. Yes, I am crazy. I love core set draft, and this. No matter how many strange abilities there are in Modern Masters, I think this will be more like core set draft than it will be like something else. Yes, it's a cantrip. It cycles for Storm. There is a danger of playing Manamorphose. If it gets countered, it looks really stupid. But I don't see that happening in Modern Masters Limited. So how high do you pick it? It should be comparable to an Evolving Wilds, right? And it also depends on if you... No, it doesn't depend on that. How high do you pick this? If you're not saying anything, I'm picking it as I pick Terramorphic Expanse, a 6th to 8th pick. Pick 1 for Storm. Yep, that goes into the document. I'm publishing this as an article on MagicGatheringStrat. I'm going to publish it today. MagicGatheringStrat.com. This site, this is the first part of the article. I think it's a mistake to pick it very late because it still mana fixes, it thins your deck, it's never in the way. I think it's a 6th to 8th pick, fairly comfortable. Glimmer Void! If you control no artifacts, sacrifice Glimmer Void and 1 mana of any color. This is for the artifact deck, but how many artifacts do you need to reliably be able to cast this? That's a lot of artifacts. And you still can't cast it on turn 1. It's a lot worse than City of Brass. I City of Brass at the 7th and 9th pick. And I'd say even if you have 5 artifacts, which is a lot, I wouldn't play Glimmer Void. And there is no real big reason to have 5 colors in the deck. Yeah, you need like 15 to 20. I don't think you need that many artifacts. If you have 10 artifacts, you will on the average have 2.5 artifacts on turn 3 in your hand. I think Glimmer Void is a card that will crash money-wise. It is money only because Mirrodin is so rare. But I think this card will. I sold mine long before. The first time I heard about Modern Masters, it's $3 now, and I see it being 20 cents in 2 months. So you don't have to get this for money. Definitely, as I said, the cutoff for money cards in this set is probably around somewhere between 4 and 5 ticks. So this is horrible. This is just a 15th pick. Play a basic land, be happy. We are off to the next card. This looks promising. Adarkar Valkyrie. 6 mana for flying 4/5 with vigilance. Oh yes, very nice. It's about as a Sarah Angel. Somewhat worse. When target creature other than Adarkar Valkyrie is put into graveyard this turn, return that card to play under your control. Okay. So if you have removal, you can like steal stuff forever. This looks like a bomb. This looks like a pretty big bomb. It might be the best card we have reviewed so far. So if you never activate ability, it is a somewhat worse Sarah Angel. That would qualify it for a 2nd pick. But it's so much more. Auto 1st pick, big bomb. Yeah, it's a bomb. He's an auto 1st pick. This very much looks like a girl MTG magazine. There are tits over here. Alright, but it's an auto 1st pick, absolutely. Spell Snare. Spell Snare, my warning signs are up. This is a counter spell. And it's a counter spell that counters something that costs 2. How many 2-drops? There might be 7 2-drops. Spell Snare worth any money? No, no, no. This won't be worth anything. After this. Yeah, but it's an uncommon, so it will be worth 5-10 cents. It's 180 now, but it will crash horribly. Any uncommons, they will just fall to below 20 cents, all of them. Yeah, I'd say this is a really, really bad. How can it be a good card? Of course, it costs only 1, but you need to counter. How good is this if you draw it on turn 7? Let's look at this. Let's look in the 4 situations: development, if you're winning, if you're losing, and on parity. Okay, development. This card is not. Spell Snare is not a card you want to cast on turn 1. So it's really bad there. If you're winning, you don't want to counterspell. It can counter remover spell that can stop you from winning, but it's still very bad. If you're losing, you definitely don't want this card. And if you're at parity, you might want it. Yeah, it seems like it's... I'm quoting you, MTG magazine. Spell Snare is junk and limited. That goes into the article. Because I think I agree. It's... Yeah, if you are on the draw and they play something on turn 2, yeah, I can see that. But what if you have another 1-drop, but you probably don't have another 1-drop in this set? There are not too many 1-drops. Okay, it might be good then in development. So good in development, good in parity, and awful otherwise. I'll say it's a 9th to 11th pick. Yeah, bears are the only thing. Bear and 2-mana removal is the only thing you can counter it with. A 9th to 11th pick means that you are not playing this unless you are. No, it can't counter the pacts. It counters only spells costing 2, not spells costing less than 2. Electrolyze. This is 2 damage, divided as you choose for 3 mana. It reminds me very much of Flames of the Firebrand, but it's even better because you draw a card. But Flames of the Firebrand sometimes was 3 for 1. Flames of the Firebrand is a 1st to 3rd pick in. It's not a bomb because it doesn't win you the game. It doesn't save you if you've been beaten down by 4/4s. But it is a first. It is a very, very good removal. But it does require you to be blue-red. So unless. If you don't know that you're being. If it's in the first pack, this locks you pretty hard into blue-red. And I agree with Zaptox there that it's not the first pick. Unless you really know that you are comfortable and have experience with the blue-red archetype in the format, if there is one. Blue-red fairies, perhaps? So, 2 different, Zaptox says that 2 different color means it's not first pickable, and I agree with that. That makes it to the document. And, yep. It's... But how high do you pick it? Do you second pick this? Is it 2nd to 4th pick or 3rd to 5th pick? 2 to 4th. Anybody for 3rd to 5th for Electrolyze? It still locks you so high. We are not downgrading the cards based on the power in Modern Masters yet, because we don't know the power in Modern Masters yet, because everything is not spoiled. The power level as so far is high, but there might be 150 crap cards left. If my rare is in red or blue, I take it second. Yeah, good point. I think it's a 3rd to 5th pick actually, and it's a second pick if you're going, or maybe it's a first pick in the 2nd and 3rd pack. If you know you're already blue-red, then of course you slam it. So yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Relic of Progenitors. This is from a quite recent set, and they upgraded it to uncommon for some reason to not destroy the dredge deck too much. But do you want to play a Relic of Progenitors in limited? It's a sideboard card, and it's a cycler for 2 mana, which is pretty bad for cyclers. It is an artifact, which might be relevant. I think we are in agreement about Electrolyze. That's why I'm moving on. Relic of Progenitors. Ninth to 11th, that was exactly what I was thinking. It is an artifact. It is an expensive cycler. It is a sideboard card. That gives it some value. 9th to 11th pick for Relic of Progenitors. Yeah, having Dredge and Ravelark in the format makes it a sideboard card. and it's an artifact. Yeah, there are more grave in the format now, so it's definitely not unplayable. And I think the next card is very uninteresting. Lightning Helix is a classic first to third pick. It's nothing else, it's not a bomb, it's high quality super removal, which means that you should first pick it. And you don't really need to think about Lightning Helix a lot. And what about the colors on Lightning Helix? Yeah, that's true. What about the colors? I like the Helix better than Electrolyze 2 because the Helix can remove stuff with 3 toughness. And removing 2 1 toughness guys is still probably on the same level as removing it. But Electrolyze draws you a card. Electrolyze is a 3-for-1 in some cases, if there are targets for it. But I could see an argument for Lightning Helix being... Yeah, it's rarely a 3-for-1, I agree with that. Incidental life gain is nice. And the ability to remove... But it's still very, very color intensive. It's cheaper than Electrolyze, which is, of course... No, actually, if I see this first pack and I don't have a bomb rare, I'm going white-red for this card, and I'm not going blue-red for Electrolyze. Or am I? Yeah, I think Johnny said it right there, that it's harder to find the targets for Electrolyze. Under the best circumstances, it's likely better. But Helix will probably be more consistently good. We don't really know how many creatures have 1 toughness. I think Electrolyze quality really relies on how many creatures have 1 toughness. Now I'm upgrading Electrolyze because everybody loves it. So it's now up to its 2nd to 4th pick. Yeah, we try to avoid best case scenarios because that's an easy way to think erroneously about limited. But I am prepared to say that Lightning Helix is pretty much as good as Electrolyze. I'm putting this on a 2nd to 4th pick as well because of the color cost. So they are both 2nd to 4th picks now. Because red-white forcing you, first picking this, forcing you to go white-red. White-red giants, perhaps! So if you consider Lightning Helix the first pick, then you're ready to go white-red, first pick, first pack. I think it also depends very much on about how good blue-red and white-red are in Modern Master Draft, and we don't really know that yet. So we might have to revisit the Lightning Helix versus Electrolyze controversy. Let's move on to the Worm Harvest. What the hell is this? Put a 1/1 black and green creature token on the battlefield with each land card in your graveyard. And you can cast it again and again and again. And every time you cast it again, you get more cards in your graveyard that count. Okay, immediately I get it's awesome, and then I get crap. So that's interesting. Which set is this from? Snap first pick. It apparently is a skill tester. But is it a skill tester because it's bad and good or good? It was really bad last time. And I misspelled it. Eventide. Eventide. First impression. Toyota Highlander hybrid review. Complete red review, complete black review. I like grinding too in limited, but I wonder if this set is a set. Oh, nice picture, Robin. If this set is a set where you can grind reliably. This is just the black cards? No, here they are. Well, let's look at what this guy says about the worm harvest. Here it is. 3.5 with potential. Unless you're heavily into green or black, it's probably best to ignore this card. If you're heavily into green back, it could be worth taking early. A 3.5 grade would place it as... I think it can work well on its own as well, but it's extremely slow. So this means that you pick it as a 3rd to 5th pick if blue-green, and probably not at all if you're not. Black-green. If you're only green, will you play this? Probably not. And it's interesting that Dredge wasn't around when this was played in limited last time. So it's probably a lot better than last time. I'm comfortable with the 3rd to 5th pick. If you are green-black and then you're looking for Dredge. So if you're in the 3rd pack and you don't have any Dredge cards, it's of course worthless. But maybe 3rd to 5th pick is a bit high. I'm downgrading it to 4th to 6th pick. Yep, if you are black-green rock, you wouldn't even pick it. Makes sense. Let's move on to the next card. Joira of the Gitu. Okay, this chick is a 2/2 for 3. She's removing a non-land card in your hand from game, giving everything suspense. Everything can be cast 4 turns later for 2 mana instead of its mana cost. How good is this in limited? It sounds extremely slow, and the body is very unimpressive. It's bad, right? Is she as good as a bear? What do you really want to... Okay, if I have Greater Gargadon, I would do this. No, because Greater Gargadon gets the 10 counters anyway. Yeah, her body is quite impressive, but it is a good magic body. You could put a dragon on it, but by the time she can cast it, you could almost cast the dragon anyway. So you're just sometimes getting a discount. I think her ability makes up for the fact that she costs 3 and makes her as good as a bear, which would make her pick 6th to 8th, 8th to 10th, 5th to 7th. Playable, but that's it. Yeah, I think that's... I'm placing her as a 6th to 8th pick because that's where I put the bears. Emrakul is actually guaranteed not to be in Modern Masters because Modern Masters is only pre-Zendikar stuff. That's why you were safe buying Zendikar and later Modern stuff. And that's why the fetch lands in Zendikar will be very expensive come January. So it's time to buy them now if you don't have them. And that goes for all the playable cards in Zendikar block. You should get them now, because if Wizards succeeds with making Modern really popular with this set, Zendikar cards will shoot up in price a lot. Squee! Goblin Naboob! Some goblins are expendable, some are impossible to get rid of, but he's both at the same time. Sand fetches have not doubled on MTGO. They were... that depends on when it was announced. Because they were at their highest in January, and they are lower now. Squee is meh. He is value, but what do you do with him? He's just a 1/1. He calls for Johnny constructed decks, right? But is he doing anything in limited? And he's actually returning to your hand and not to play. I don't see a use for this guy. I could dredge him, but he's in the wrong color. Oh, he will get out. What do you do? If you can dredge him and then sacrifice him to something, to what? Okay, give me a best case scenario for Squee. Okay, I'm taking your comment there, MTGO magazine. In limited, he's horrible. I don't think he's very good in constructed either. I remember this card was for printing. We were like, oh, you can never get rid of him. And people wanted to play him, but yeah, it didn't work very well. Maybe an 11th or 13th pick. 2 squeeze in your hand. Is that a best case scenario? You play one, then you legend rule yourself. Alright. I'm putting your best case scenario into the document. This will all be an article on MTGOstrat.com eventually. Residual pitch card, yeah, that was it. Okay, let's forget about the Goblin Naboob and look at Dragonstorm. I see a 9-mana card that requires you to have dragons. That sounds extremely bad. For a 9-mana card to be playable, it has to be in a ramp deck. It has to be in Rise of the Eldrazi, basically, because you have to have a lot of ramp. And I would go as far as to... I just downgraded Plague Wind to pretty much unplayable. And that was considered a first pick back in 9th edition draft, but it absolutely was not. Yeah, this is simply unplayable. 9 mana is way too much, and there are too few dragons. How will you play this? Yeah, even if you have Seething Song, you can cast it on turn... when you have 7 mana, which will on the average be like turn 10, you still have to produce 9 mana reliably. And I don't think you will. And even when you storm, what dragons will you get? How many dragons can you reliably pick up in a draft? It is way too conditional to be playable. It's actually a classical limited trap. 23 viewers! Hi everyone! I'm moving on. I'm pretty new to streaming. I usually do YouTube videos. So please forgive me if I do something stupid. Let's move on. Angel's Grace. Here it's split second. You can't lose the game this turn. Your opponent can't win the game this turn. So it's fog, right? Hi, Benable. This is a fog, right? Is it more than a fog? It's worse than fog. That's not very good, is it? So we are not playing Angel's Grace. Worse than fog. I wish it was a fog. That's pretty bad. That's a 15th pick right there. Split second is really cool. God, I lost modern tournaments to split second. Alright, Figure of Destiny. I smell a bomb here. Figure of Destiny has been played in modern decks in Constructed, so it's pretty good, right? It becomes, if you pay 10 mana in 3 cheap installments, you have an 8/8 flyer with first strike. Well, you don't have to be red-white, you have only to be red or white, but if you're only one of the colors, you would probably not ultimate it. But then you still have a 4/4 guy that you paid 3 mana for, or you actually paid 5 mana, but you can do it on turn 3. He can be a 4/4 guy, and eventually, if you have like 9 lands of this single color, you can on turn 23 you can make him into. Okay, so you probably have to be red-white to first pick him. And then we are in the 2/2 with 1 echo is fine in itself, yes. But is it really a first pick? Is it better than Lightning Helix in a white-red deck? And how bad is it if you are not? Well, getting a 4/4 warrior on turn 3 some of the time, that's pretty good. I say he is a 3rd to 5th pick if you are not red-white. If you are not red-white, but only red or white. Pretty much on the level of a Centaur Corsair. The whole idea of this show is to evaluate pick orders. So we will change the pick orders later, but we are evaluating pick orders. That's what we're doing here. I don't think Figure will be 5 ticks at all when he has been printed again. He's just a rare. This set will be heavily drafted. How much is he today on MTG or Traders? 486. Oh, 250 for the Fire and Lightning one. This card will be 1 tick set at the most, I think. But why did this card go up to such a high value? It was an 8-10 ticket card. Because it is highly playable in some Eternal format. So I think if you open this guy, you are stuck in red-white. So it's actually the same situation as Lightning Helix. Are you happy to be stuck in red-white? But you have some use of him if you're not going red-white. If you take him and then get stuck in red-blue, you can still use him. So I would maybe pick this guy over Lightning Helix. Would I really do that? The initial evaluation is good because it helps us think about this set. Then we have to think about it more. Electrolyze kills him, yeah! That's Lightning Helix. We have gotten to the point where Lightning Helix is not the first pick because we don't want to get locked in red-white. But this guy locks us less in red-white because he's alright in either white or red. So the thing is, can we pick Figure of Destiny over Lightning Helix? Actually, I would be quite comfortable first picking Figure of Destiny. First pick, first pack, I'm taking this guy. And then I will come flying with my 8/8 dude with first strike, and I will be really happy. So he's the first to third pick, and we'll rate him over Lightning Helix. It's mythicspoiler.com. I'm posting it in the chat. This is the link to the spoiler. Okay, let's skip this guy now, and because I will need to go eat in about 30 minutes. It's Verdeloth the Ancient. He is 4/7 for 6. You can kick him, and if he's kicked, he puts X sapling creatures into play. He gives sapling creatures +1/+1. This does sound like a commander card, right? Do I ever kick this guy in Limited? He's not on the level of the Primordials. Is it even as high as a 3rd to 5th pick? Of course you could get... No, you couldn't. There is no big upside to this guy. Unless you have a lot of Saprolings, but we only seen really bad Saproling cards. Are there any good Treefall cards in the set? Yeah, the Tallids were almost unplayable, all of them. No, he's not that good. I think he's not as good as a 3rd to 5th pick. I don't want to die on turn 7 when I only have 5 mana with this guy in my hand. And I think the Sapling deck is a total trap, actually, if we don't get better cards. It looks really bad. I'm picking this guy as a 5th to 7th pick. As pretty much as a Hill Giant. And if I have him in my deck, I'm looking to play it in lands if I can. Because you don't, in a 17 card deck, you don't hit 6 land on turn 6. The idea here is absolutely, so look at the cards, evaluate them, look at the old evaluations, how did they perform in their old sets, etc. And then try to form a picture so that we know something that other people don't when we start drafting this set. I usually do this by myself for every set, but I figured this time I would do it on stream, on MagicGatheringStrat and on YouTube. I run a YouTube channel. It has about 10 times the number of subscribers as this Twitch channel has, so please check it out. It has the same name on YouTube. We don't know how Verdeloth performed in the original printing, but let's check it out. What set is he from? Is he from Invasion? Wow, I don't remember him at all. And I played quite a bit of IPA. I'm assuming he was a rare, but he was. There he is. 4/7 mana, 4/7 for 6 mana isn't enough. Well, the game isn't over when this big guy hits the table. It's pretty close. I can think of very little you want to take over Verdelos. What? Okay, this article is dated. Cause he's not that good. I think I'm comfortable moving on from the card. The upside is so small. And he pumps opponent's creatures. Good point. He said first to second pick. And I cannot agree with that. This guy is not the first pick. There were good sapling cards in Invasion. Maybe there were. I can't remember. Wow, I drafted it last June with some success. Ah, okay. Let's put him as 5th to 7th and move on to the Woodfall Primus. When I see 8 mana, I disconnect, because in most core set formats, which I think Modern Masters will be, this is not much faster than a core set draft, but 8 mana is so much that only a small percentage of games goes to the 8 mana level, and the time you reach 8 mana is on the average like turn 12. Or actually think about it, you're running, say you're running 16 land, then you will reach it on turn 13 on the average. So this guy has to do a lot to playable, a lot like in Stormtide Leviathan. This guy is an 8/8 trample, a 6/6 trample. Absolutely, that's my next point. A green ramp could be a thing. We've seen Search for Tomorrow. How much else? Yeah, but I don't want to stop the show now. I want to do this so that I know something about the cards. I have looked back at them, etc. Can we move on from this, please, Volume? Okay, this guy destroys a target non-creature permanent. That is probably useful. Dredge. You still have to pay 8 mana for him, right? There is no reanimate. But please just leave if you think it's super useless. So can we reanimate anything? Have we seen any reanimate cards? Persist is pretty powerful on this guy. I am calling not too playable on this guy. I think people will pick him and die with him in their hands. Or they will have to craft decks around him, in which case they will be able to pick him later anyway. Great in cube. Need ramp will likely be unplayable here. That's a good quote. I am taking your words, Johnny, and putting them in the article. Yeah, if there are a lot of ramp cards, this guy does improve. But right now I'm not picking him. I'm not putting him in my deck. I'm gonna cut him from my deck if I have him. So that makes him a 9th to 11th pick. I don't want to be stuck with this guy. Okay, engineered explosives. Sunburst. So you're doing this for 2 or 3. And you're doing it for the number you want, or the number that will hurt your opponent the most. I don't think this will be a money card either. Let's look at what it's worth right now. Okay, yes, it was a money card. Yeah, 1927. Okay, it will fall, but it will not fall enough. So this is a money pick. So you are now, the rest of the review doesn't matter because you will just first pick this for money. unless you're playing in a Grand Prix or Pro Tour, or otherwise you're losing out on the drafts. But I think it does have some use in limited as well. I'm saying, yeah, fine 4 to 6 pick. I am buying that. But you will first pick it for money. I think you can absolutely play it. To wipe, just wipe a 2-drop or 3-drop, and it's a 1-for-1. You can often get, or some of the time at least, get 2-for-1s with it. But actually I have a limited review of it from the days of yore, from Berlin. Let's look at that. It was in Mirrodin Block, right? It was in Fifth Dawn. I want to kill bears. I don't like bears. Let's look at what people said back in the day. Oh. Yep, people are saying it's crap, actually. So it's definitely lower than. So I'm putting it at the 7th and 9th pick. One of the worst removals for limited. And maybe it is unplayable. No, I'm not passing it. I'm saying you first pick it for money. I'm thinking about, like, if you... We still need a grade because you might be playing sealed. So you need a grade. And I say 7th and 9th pick. Or if it's a phantom event, yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's move on to Skeletal Vampire. This guy looks really good. 6/6 for 3/3 flyer. He puts 2 1/1 flyers into play, so we are getting 5 power. Okay, and for 5 mana he makes another one. And he can regenerate. So yes, he looks like a bomb. Yeah, not too many uncommons you would pick about it. I believe you. I am already convinced. This is a card I'll be happy to play. You could make an argument about, yeah, he's like Cloud Goat. He looks very similar to Cloud Goat. Yeah, I don't think it's something we need to dwell on. Just pick this guy and move on. Very like Cloud Goat. I put an article. He has a better late game than Cloud Goat. Possibly. Bomb. So we are picking this guy. Is there an uncommon you would pick over Skeletal Vampire? I can't think of what that would be. So let's move on to Gifts Ungiven. It's a tutor. It's from Kamigawa, so we have an opinion on it already. 4 mana inspiration. You get to choose the cards. Yep. 4 mana inspiration sounds very unexciting. Oh wow, we got a real long thing about this. Placing it, it's falling a lot in price now. I sold mine at 10 ticks, but they are lower, and this is rare now. Yeah, so it will keep some value. All the reviews from Kamigawa pretty much says this is first pick. They are really excited over it. Though this set is of course better than Kamigawa. It was better in Soul Shift. Was it really rare before? Maybe it was. That would make me less sad that I didn't pick up more of them. Yep. Are you happy first picking Gifts Ungiven? I had some weird idea that it used to be an uncommon, but I was wrong. It is almost a money pick. It probably is a money pick. I think the average level of this set is very hard to estimate right now because there is some crap in the set and there could be more. I would be sad if this was my pack one, pick one. Yeah. You get the two worst cards. Fact or Fiction, yes, that's it. I'm confusing it with Fact or Fiction. Thanks, Bessengast. And Fact or Fiction is better than this card? Oh, that doesn't matter. So we are in disagreement about whether we first pick Gifts Ungiven or not. That means I'm placing it as a second to fourth pick or higher. And we are moving on to the Great Gargadon. I am a Timmy to 5%. 95% a spike. But I like the Gargadon. Wow. Okay, more about Gifts Ungiven here. I'm putting it in the document. I think the Gifts Ungiven is a card that deserves a lot of writing. But what about this Gargadon? When is he coming out on average? When do you play him on average? You're playing him on turn 6 if you draw him. He's actually, he can't be a first pick because let's look at the 4 situation. If you cast him on time, he is very good. Or is he? He's a 9/7 that comes out quite early. If you're winning and you draw this card, you're pretty sad. If you're losing and you draw this card, you're pretty sad. But if you're in parity and you draw this card, you get some inevitability. And when he resolves, oh god, I have to look. We have to check the old comments, that's right. Greater Gargadon, what set is he from? 6th to 8th pick could very well be correct. Time Spiral. Oh, damage user stack. Yes, that's true. That would very much influence it. Let's see if they said something useful anyway. But stacking damage is really, of course, very important. It's not in here. Maybe he reviewed Gargadon. God. I'm searching for greater. There is. Well, this guy didn't consider the different situations of the game. I think this is a fairly low pick, but that he is playable. Because he will sometimes just win. It's a sacrifice outlet, and that has some value as well. Also something that was discussed on the last episode of Limited Resources. I'm thinking 6th to 8th actually. It would really suck to draw Gargadon on like turn 6. When you are like, will it be faster to wait till you get to 10 mana or suspend him 10? 6th to 8th pick. And definitely you will be looking for combos with him later. Molten Disaster. This is a Magma Quake-ish effect. Each creature without flying each player with split second. I'm saying this is, yeah, Earthquake. I was just referring to a more modern card than Earthquake. Split second could be nice. I think it still fills the same slot as Magma Quake does. It's definitely a lot worse than Aurelia's Fury, I think. Because this deck, yeah, I'd say it's a 2nd to 4th pick, because there is a lot of time that Molten Disaster will be worthless in your hand. There's a lot of times it will just kill a lot of guys. Well, let's look at the 4 situations. If you draw it on time, it's not very good. If you're winning, it's not good at all. Except you can finish the opponent, which is of course relevant. And casting it on time would be like as soon as you can. In parity it isn't very good as well, because you have to have an advantage. So I say 2nd to 4th pick. Yeah, it doesn't apply to spells really. So we should look at the other 3 things. I think there are a lot of cards you could pick over this, so it's not the first pick. On curve, yes. Well, I'm pretty comfortable placing this as a 2nd to 4th pick. If the split second finish thing matters, but I can't see that matter a lot. It might be higher. Noble Hierarch, Mutavault, etc. They are not spoiled yet, but they're still spoiling stuff. So we're not sure. Okay, over to Rude Awakening. Where is this from? This is a Mirrodin card, right? This is quite the finisher. Costing 8 mana. Is it useful? Untap all lands you control for 5. That doesn't do a lot. You have to entwine it. You have to cast it for 8. Right. You can't use it. It's nice in Storm. I'm sure it's nice in Storm. And actually that's relevant. Let's move to the green cards here. Rude Awakening. Oh, my head is getting tired. Rude Awakening. It's an 8 mana card that has a pretty good chance of winning when you cast it. In Storm is a ritual, yeah. 8 mana is not impossible, but it's very hard. Magic Online is currently undergoing a 9-hour maintenance phase, so they are probably implementing Modern Masters. It was a very big update. 8 mana. Do you automatically win? You get 8 2/2s. You can do 16 damage if they're not blocked. That doesn't sound like an automatic win, but often it is. Is it useful to play for 5 ever? Of course, no haste, yes. 7 2/2s. You have to play it for 8, right? And you only get 7 2/2s for 14 damage. I'm not convinced. I think it doesn't do anything on the defense either, so you're very likely to die this. Oh, you can cast it for 5 if you're storming, yes. I think 2 to 4th is too high. I would rather have a Stormtide Leviathan over this. And he is a 35th pick. And he is much easier to build around. He saves you. I think I would even rather have Nicol Bolas than this at 8. Yeah, the last info I had here was not very much. It was this. Never cast it without Entwine, wins the game when it's cast. I'm saying Stormtail Leviathan is easier to build around, because when you get the Stormtail Leviathan you can okay, you can do this with this as well, but you can build a very defensive deck that lets you get to him. Because you have to build a defensive deck here too, if you're not going to lose with this card in your hand. I have a very hard time placing an 8 mana card above a 35th pick. This is not a defensive card, so... And a defensive card is easier to cast at 8 mana. If you build a defensive deck, you have an easier time casting 8 mana spells. But this is a very aggressive card. Of course you could ramp, but we still haven't seen a lot of good ramp. 6th to 7th. Stormtide Leviathan is a very defensive card, yes. You build a very defensive deck around it to cast it. But of course it's a very good card because it helps you to win and to defend yourself, which is what I definitely want from an 8 mana card. But this card is only good to win, because Stormtide Leviathan is a blue card, and blue cards are generally better at defending than green. I am going as far as to place this as a 4th to 6th pick or higher, because I think it's only good when you're attacking, and 8 mana is just too much. Okay, next exercise. Can you find a use for Blood Moon in Limited? Sold mine at 10. Pretty glad for that. Pick them up, because you will need them for Modern. I won Nationals in my country with Blood Moon. The guy I met in the final had a 4-color deck, only duels, and with every color but red. But I think Blood Moon is absolutely unplayable. I have the Dark, of course, Blood Moons as well. I can't ever see a use for this in Limited. And it's a classic 15 pick. And of course people pick it for money, but it's not correct to pick this for money, I think. Not early anyway, because it will fall quite a bit. I do not play Legacy, sadly. I even only play Modern with stupid budget decks, but I'm going into Modern. If you look at the YouTube channel, about 70% of the content is Pauper. We play a lot of Pauper. We're about 5 people that make videos on the YouTube channel, MagicGatheringStrat on YouTube. We are 2 people streaming here. The other guy is a drafter. And we are about 8 people writing articles on mtgostrat.com. Pauper is our main thing. We do modern drafts. And I even play some standard, but I'm not very good at it. I'm MagicGatheringStrat on YouTube, on the Magic Online. Oh, sorry. I'm MagicGatheringStrat on Magic Online too. Yeah, I'm happy to play there. Let's move on from Blood Moon. Progenitors, 10 mana. Is there any way you can reanimate him? Have we seen any reanimation spells? No, he can't be reanimated. Okay, this is just totally unplayable. I would never ever play a 10 mana card in limited. Especially not one with this heavy mana cost. Yeah, Tooth and Nail, that requires you to have 2 rares, so that's pretty much unplayable in limited. And if you pull it off, it's very sweet, but you probably will lose more games than not by putting this in your deck. That doesn't apply for the next card, because that card is Cryptic Command. How good is Cryptic Command in limited? The downtime finishes in 6 hours. I do not play Cube at all, any Cube. So I don't know anything about Cube. A 4 mana counterspell is generally very bad in limited. But this is not the 4 mana counterspell, right? It's a money card for sure. Did they reprint it as a rare? Okay, then it's crashing a bit. Rares having value over 10 tickets is very uncommon. It's 1450 now, I estimate 5, 6 in late August. The mana cost is really heavy, and that's correct. 3 blue mana is basically a 6 mana card. Do you want to cast? It reminds me of Spelltwine in Magic 2013. Spelltwine was pretty much. It will remain money, of course, and you will pick a 5 to 6 ticks card for money. But so we know it's a money pick already. But what rating do we give it? Is it better than Spelltwine? You're casting it at approximately the same time as you are casting Spelltwine. Yeah, we talk about Phantom Draft as well, yeah. So how good is this card? Spelltwine was almost unplayable. And of course it didn't always have target. This spell will always have target. Bound something, draw a card. Pretty good. There is an archetype for it as well, yes. But how high do you pick Cryptic Command in Phantom? Yeah, I agree. It is better than Spelltwine. Because you can reliably cast it. Maybe on turn 6, 7, somewhere around there. And you are getting a 2-for-1 probably. We just decided that it wasn't like Spelltwine. It is an expensive card that gets you a 2-for-1. That was how it was like Spelltwine. So how high do you pick this? It's a pretty sad card to have on the defense. Or is it? You will return a target permanent to second to fourth pick. Is it really that high? Sixth pick-ish. Maybe somewhere between there. Maybe fourth to... You need 12 islands if you want to cast it reliably on turn 4. Yes. That's right, then 112. 12 islands is a lot, and you'll probably not have 12 islands in your deck. So that's why you're casting this later. You absolutely don't need to cast it on turn 4. I'm not saying that. If you first pack this, of course you'll force blue. I'm at a loss here. I think I'm gonna put in this discussion here. And I don't really know. I'm rating this as a 35th pick. I think this is not the card you want against an aggressive deck, and you will die with this card in your hand some of the time. And a 35th pick feels like a fair rating. And I think this is a card you will pick higher, right? It's time for Demigod of Revenge. You are getting a 5/4 Flying Haster that has a very, very small upside. We don't know how aggressive the format is yet, but I predict that it will be like a core set, like M13 pretty much. This is a first pick, right? Flying Haste. It's pretty hard to cast. You have to be red-black for it, right? And if you're not red-black, it's definitely not the first pick. If you're only red, this guy is coming down really late. So isn't this pretty much what Lightning Helix was and what Figure of Destiny was? The casting cost prevents it from being a first pick. Because it forces you into color combination. And we don't yet know how powerful red-black is. But traditionally in Limited, red-black is a very good color combination because you get all the removal. Yeah, it sounds like a second to fourth pick. Forces you into RB, unplayable if you are not both red and black. Yeah, I wouldn't be ashamed to first pick this in the first pack and then try to go red-black. But of course that is something that will misfire some of the time. Yeah, if you have more than that, it's great, but that's probably not likely. So let's move to the next card. This is pretty much the same, right? Divinity of Pride. For 5 hybrid black-white mana, you get a flyer lifelink that becomes an 8/8 flyer lifelink when you have 24 or more life, 25 or more life. It's the same and it doesn't have haste, but I think the 8/8 thing makes up for that. But you're still trapped in your colors, and this color combination might be a lot harder. So you will first pick this, you will go white-black, and some of the time you will succeed, some of the time the guy next to you is drafting white, and you end up sucking. So I'm comfortable placing this as a second to fourth pick as well. They look very similar, both cards actually. Though the upside on the Pride is better, but both cards are pretty much bombs if it wasn't for the cost. Let's move on to the Queen of the Fae, Una.